Raw Review 3/23, 2026 starts off with Brock Lesnar to address what happened last week. If you didn't check out what happened last week, go check that out. It was a very good segment with Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar. This week's wasn't as entertaining, wasn't as in your face, but it was still a pretty good segment. It was pretty much just Paul Heyman coming out and saying, y'all keep sending these new guys after Brock Lesnar, and it's never ended well. It's just never ended well. Names John Cena, names Dean Ambrose, and those of the sort. And he goes, and the ruler Oba Femi is gonna be no different. That's essentially what he said, and he chucks the mic on the ground. Everything goes dark, and Oba Femi comes out. Boom. He goes, "There's gonna be no excuses no more. No excuses." And he comes out, stares off. Brock kicks him and goes for the F5. And Oba gets out of it, throws him over the top rope, goes, "What's your excuse now? What's your excuse now?" And Brock goes, "You got lucky. You can't keep getting lucky, And I thought this segment was pretty good. I'm a little worried because Brock keeps getting beaten. Is essentially my worry. Um, because I kind of it's like you want to see Oba Femi go over the top and beat him, but you also are a little scared because you're like, well, you know, um, what if they're doing this because at WrestleMania they keep giving Oba this for whenever we come to WrestleMania, and he just, So I really want Oba to win at WrestleMania. So this is a little worrying, but I like it. I like these segments. They might just be doing this as well just to show you, hey, this is Oba Femi, even though he's getting these reactions. The crowd is so loud for Oba Femi when he comes out. They even showed these kids doing the walk, and he is so over. Everyone loves Oba Femi, and I just love the chant of people going Oba who oh Oba. Whenever they added the who in between, I thought it was sick. I think it's a very great segment, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then next we go to the Usos versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory. It was a fine match. It was fine. It wasn't my favorite, obviously Usos match ever, but I thought it was a fine match. And the ending shows Jay going a little bit more darker, get more heelish, um, the dark side, as they say, and and it shows Logan Paul trying to grab his brass knuckles. L.A. Knight comes out, pretty much destroys him, steals the brass knuckles, throws it to Jey Uso. Jey Uso puts it on his hands, and it pretty much the ref is staring at him, staring daggers at Jey Uso the entire time he's putting these brass knuckles on. Like the ref is just sitting there like, "Come on, don't do that, please!" And he's just staring at him, bro. You're like Jay, the ref knows, and he just puts it on. Jay wasn't trying to hide it all. He beams Austin Theory with it, and pins him. Doesn't pin him, disqualification, and they go out in the ring, and Logan Paul's like going to go assist Austin Theory, and Jay turns around, runs up, clocks him too, and you're just sitting there like, okay, yeah, and they're LA Knight afterwards. They have a segment. LA Knight's like, I probably would have done it a little sneakier, but you got the job done. It did what it needed to do. And Jay's like, well, that's what happens when you talk about me or my family, and they keep talking about family. They're hinting at this bloodline return, and I think that does. I don't know. I'm interested to see it. Jay has been the most interesting I think he's been in a long, long time. Yeah, I mean Jay's just been more interesting than he has been for a while. And next is the segment addressing AJ Lee attack from last week. Becky Lynch comes out, pretty much goes, this girl AJ Lee, it sickens me seeing her with my title around her waist. And then I tried after losing to go separate. I tried to go stop, but then I get home and my daughter is singing "Let's Light It Up," skipping around, having the bracelets on. I just can't take it no more. So I had to come back. I had to attack her. There's no break for me. Um, talks about AJ Lee for 10 being gone for 10 years. She's like, I took my 10-month break, but you know, she took 10 years. 10 years. And AJ Lee comes out, attacks, tries to attack. Becky runs away. Becky skips away after a certain point. I thought that was funny. Um, it sets up the WrestleMania match, and I thought AJ Lee. This is probably my favorite promos of hers since she's gotten back. I thought that was probably my favorite promo that she has done since coming back, and I thought that was pretty good. I think every week, every time AJ Lee has done something, I think she's gotten a little better than the last week. I think she's getting that rust off, she's getting this off, and I think it's helped the product actually. I actually look forward to seeing AJ Lee grow the next week and seeing what she's getting better at, because she has. I mean, that Bailey match was better than the match before that. That Becky and AJ Lee match was better than the tag team match. From her perspective, at least in my opinion, I actually liked the tag team match, but some people didn't. It did run a little long. I won't lie. It was like a 45-minute match. It was long. It was a very long match. It didn't need to be that long, but yeah, I mean, every week, you're seeing her get better at promos, getting better at just wrestling, and I think that's very nice to see as someone who grew up as a fan of AJ Lee, and that I thought that was pretty good. Next, you have Javon Evans versus Grayson Waller, and oh my gosh, that man Javon Evans, he is awesome. He is awesome. Whenever he's on the screen, you want to watch more. He's spectacular. Honestly, everything he does is must see. Miz has that little that tag must see TV, must see wrestler. Javon Evans is must see. Whenever you see Javon Evans, you know that that's going to be a good match. I thought it was spectacular. I go on Twitter during the match, after the match actually, and people are tweeting because I watched the whole match. I'm like, this is an awesome match. And you go on Twitter and people are like, bro, you're working Grayson Waller. Calm down. He is awesome. Everything he does is awesome. He does. The finish was cool. It was just a clean, awesome finish of him doing a hurricane run off the top rope and then going and doing the cutter off the top rope. Javon's awesome. Anytime I watch Javon, I'm like, oh, this guy's awesome. Yeah. And I think if he gains like 20 pounds or something, I think WWE will absolutely love him. Because WWE usually likes bigger guys. That's just usually what they like. It's just those bigger people. As you can see with how an Obafemi is treated right off the bat versus other people, or a Trick Williams versus other young guys. Like, look at it, Johnny Gargano. Triple H loves Johnny Gargano, and I bet you if he's just taller and slightly bigger, he'd be a multi-time WWE champion. But because of his size, that's how I feel. That WWE really caters to that size. Um, they are very big on, oh, you need to be taller. So I think Javon Evans, the sky's the limit. I think he's awesome. I think if he can do a Will Ospreay thing, like Will Ospreay used to be actually very thin, but then after COVID, he came out, he's bulkier. I think if Javon Evans does that, I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's awesome. I think he's incredible. I really, really like Javon Evans. If I did a top 30, under 30, Javon Evans is top three, maybe even one. I don't know about one, but he's very high up there. I love Javon Evans. Anytime I see that he's having a match, I have to watch it. He is so awesome. He is spectacular. I really, really like Javon Evans. Next, you have the Kabuki Warriors versus Bailey and Lyra. Bailey and Lyra are awesome. Lyra Valkyria is one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the world. You have Bailey, who's also one of my favorite women's wrestlers in the world, versus Kabuki Warriors, who has Kairi Sanes, who I really, really like. And then you have Asuka, who's my favorite women's wrestler of all time. I absolutely love Asuka so much. Asuka just is so, so awesome. I thought the match was pretty good. But yeah, Bailey and Lyra get the win, and they say, yeah, we're going We're gonna face the champs. They're facing them next week, not at WrestleMania. They're facing them next week. Bailey Bailey says, and we're gonna face them in the most popular arena in the world, and the fans just boo her around. They go boo. It was so funny. And Bailey goes, whoa, 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 hold on. We're not gonna like that. Bailey and Lyra are gonna win it, and the fans go, yeah. And that was awesome. It was very funny to me how she had to come back and be like, well, hold on. I thought it was a very fun moment. Yeah. And then next you have, I'm gonna talk about that segment a little bit more. I'm very interested to see what they do next week. I don't think Bailey and Lyra are going to win. I think it's going to be like interference as setting up a multi-women tag team match. I think it's gonna be at least the Bellas, Bay, Lyra, and the tag team champions of Lash Legend, and that probably Charlotte and Alexa. Kabuki Warriors might get in there, but I think they're going to do something with Asuka because the next segment, um, Asuka is just pretty much just okay. Bailey and not wow. Sorry, my Alexa went off whenever I said Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. It went off. Anywho, next the segment was the Kabuki Warriors with Asuka and Kairi Sane sitting there. Asuka's just like pretty much blaming Kairi for everything. She's like, "This is all your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault." And she's crying. She's not actually crying, but she's very upset, or maybe she was crying. And just like comes out trying to help her, being like, "Come on, it wasn't your fault. Things happen." And then Asuka goes, the Kyrie, and she's like, okay, and he walks over there, and you're like, okay. And that was the end of that segment. I think that's gonna obviously set up into a Io Asuka is what I'm hoping at WrestleMania. I think that'll be a good match. You're gonna, I see people on Twitter being like, oh, Io gonna get not even a match at WrestleMania. She's gonna get a WrestleMania match. Okay, she is Triple H's favorite wrestler, probably in the world. She's gonna get a Mania match, and then next you see Raquel come out, sets up a Raquel versus Io Sky match for the next week. I'm excited. Reason I'm excited is because Io Sky is awesome, and anytime you have Io Sky wrestling on pay per view, on a Raw, on a SmackDown, it's gonna be good, and so that's pretty exciting. And next you have the WWE Intercontinental Championship match, Penta versus Dominic Mysterio. This was more of like a setup story match. Like even before the bell ring, before even they got out, they Stephanie Vergara attacks Liv Morgan. And Liv throws Stephanie into the Titron, and it looks like head first, and next they go to Gorilla, and Stephanie like slams Liv on the hard floor. It was something. Like she looked for the hardest part on the floor to slam her. It was a very interesting thing. I liked it. I thought it was a good segment. I thought it was the most intense segment that they've had so far. I'm pretty excited to see what comes of it. I'm interested to see how the match goes because it's either gonna go pretty good, really good, or not good at all. So I'm very interested to see if it's gonna be on the very very good, or I don't think it'll be bad actually. Stephanie Vergara is just so good that I think at a point it's just gonna be pretty good. Um, so I'm pretty interested to see how that shapes up, and then the match begins. It's a good match. It's a decent match, but it was obviously meant for spots. They do almost into a 619. Finn Balor's music hits. I thought they were gonna do Demon. They did not go Demon. Finn Balor comes out. Penta rolls up, wins. I thought that was yeah. That was the main event. It was a good match, but you kind of are just sitting there expecting a little more. That's the match, you're like, that's the match you kind of buy tickets to go to. I, you know, I get it. It was, and they were good angles too, but you just wanted a bit more out of that match. Next is CM Punk, and the Usos come out, and you're like, oh, I guess Roman's not here today. They're on him again. Jay's pretty aggressive. Well, actually, the Usos don't come out. It's Jay Uso at first, and Jay is no selling these Usos, bro. He's sitting in the ring, being like, "Come on, hit me, do something, do something. Where is you gonna do something about it? Huh? Do something about it." And Jay's like, "I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something." But they talk, and they're like, and Jimmy comes out before anything too bad comes. Jimmy's like, "Calm down. You don't need to do it. Let Rome get to him. Get Big Rome. Come, let Big Rome get handle on it." And so he's like, okay. And there's like, man, Jey Uso goes, man, Roman isn't even here. And CM Punk's like, yeah, where is he? Where is he? He kind of adds on to it. He's really no selling these Usos. He's trying to get you to know he's not too worried about these Usos. And then, right as soon as they're like, he's not even here. You hear the do. You know, Big Rome comes out, Roman Reigns, and he is not here for talking. He has a microphone in his hands. He is not here for talking. Um, he's tired of the talking pretty much. He throws it down. Um, he hits CM Punk and he's about to leave, and then Jey Uso goes, "Get him, Uso! Get him! Get him!" And Roman turns around. And he's like, "You know what? You're right. You're right. After what he's done, he deserves way more." He goes, "Ooh, ah!" Spears him. Uh, and he's about to leave again, and Jay goes, "More! We need more!" And so he power bombs him through the table, and he's walking off. Hair's doing the majestic thing he does. He's walking out, and CM Punk is just laughing. He's laughing. He knows he's. I think they're both in each other's head, and it's an interesting story. So I'm pretty excited to see how this unfolds or how this goes. I want CM Punk to win. I don't think he's going to win. He lost last year. You got to think that these guys' opinions are heavily involved. I think CM Punk is having a really good title reign. I like his reign currently. So I'm interested to see what CM Punk does next. He'll probably take a break or do this. I think I'm very interested. I think Big Roman wins. I'm curious if they do a bloodline thing. I'm kind of more interested in a just a straight one-on-one CM Punk versus Roman Reigns match. Like I think that would just be a fantastic match. But they're getting the bloodline involved. I would like for Roman to be like, "Hey, he did this earlier in the year. He's like, they already think that I can't do it by myself. Let me do this by myself." And I don't know if they're gonna go that direction. Um, Last week Roman was like, "All you Samoans, you can get him, but the week of WrestleMania, he's mine." And so that's what I would like to happen. Is that it's just a Roman versus CM Punk match. I think that'd be a very good match. But I think the Bloodline are gonna get involved. I think you're gonna see a breath bump, this, that. Um, that's what I personally think is going to happen. I know Roman really wants a match with Jey Uso. They kind of were teasing that earlier. A Big Rome and Jey Uso, at least segments. They were doing like a Jey was gonna be like a mini Roman, but they kind of dropped it. Because they were like, we need people in this tag team. I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, because now they actually have Penta having the Intercontinental, which is good. I really like that. I think that's for the best, honestly. I think that is by far for the best. is Penta having that Intercontinental. He probably should have won it earlier. Honestly, he definitely should have won it a little earlier. But I thought it was a very good match. I thought it was a very good segment with Roman and CM Punk. But yeah, with the Usos needing help in the tag team, what I was saying was Penta. I'm surprised they didn't do Penta with Ray, and do like Penta and Ray versus the Usos, because I think that'd be a excellent match. I don't think they're gonna do that. That's obviously not what they're gonna do. They're I don't know what they're gonna do at Mania. I have absolutely not a clue. I think I'd like to see after WrestleMania a little swap up of the rosters, maybe sending some female wrestlers to SmackDown, some tag teams to Raw, specifically Fraxium. I think Fraxium has kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a bit, but they're awesome. They're spectacular. They're a great watch every time. So to do something like that, I kind of whenever I think about Motor City Machine Guns, I think about Motor City Machine Guns with someone else, with a Randy Orton or with a CM Punk. But I think they're pairing with Johnny Gargano, so that's interesting. Maybe so keep Motor City Machine Guns over there, maybe Fraxium over here, something along that lines. I think they need to do something along that line. Um, and it's crazy. Raw has this awesome women's division, but instead they want to have Stephanie Vaquer, feud with not Roxanne Perez. That would have been awesome. That would have been spectacular. Roxanne Perez is injured. I hope she gets do a Raquel segment for 5 years, 5 months, and then she's now facing Liv, and Raquel is still there. They had a match last week. It's like, you know, can they do anything else? That's how I. So yeah, I mean, I wish Roxanne was healthy. I think she adds a lot to the Judgment Day. I'm very interested to see what they're going to do when Roxanne returns, because they just turned on Finn, and Finn was the one that really brought Roxanne Perez into the Judgment Day, so that interests me. I mean, there's some things that I'm pretty interested about to see, that they can do more with. Like I think everyone said it. I think they're gonna do so. Oh, I actually forgot a segment. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman had a segment. Paul Heyman comes out, um, goes, "We're gonna handle this man to man," and Seth comes out. He pulls, takes the hoodie off, takes the mask off, and four police officers just pull up on him. I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, I filed a restraining order on you, buddy. I filed a restraining order on you." And as they're taking him away, he's like, "And you know what? When you're not around for your daughter anymore because you're getting arrested, I will adopt her. I will take care of her. You don't have to worry about her. I'll treat her. I will teach her right, unlike you were never gonna be able to do." Something along that lines. And Seth turns around and instantly books it for him, punches him, gets arrested. They put handcuffs on him and everything. It felt like a very old school thing, and I'm very interested in that. I hope next week you see Braun Breaker return. I think they're gonna bring more masked men for that, but they didn't have any masked men. Interestingly, if you're watching, there was no other masked men other than Seth Rollins there. So I'm pretty interested to see how that's gonna go. Maybe they're done with the masked men, which I think would be cool. I think I'm fine with that. I don't think they added much. They kind of just did the choreography and did it poorly. I don't think they added very very much to Seth Rollins. So I thought it was a pretty good Raw. It was a very good Raw. Um, I think you're gonna see more. Next week is obviously in Madison Square Garden. They have a street fight: Logan Paul and Austin Theory versus the Usos. Interested in that. You got Io versus Raquel. Anytime you got an Io match, it's gonna be good. I think maybe a Braun Breaker or someone comes out next week to help Paul Heyman. I think Braun Breaker returns. I really like Braun Breaker. I'm very interested to see how they treat Braun Breaker after this Seth Rollins. I think Braun Breaker has to beat Seth Rollins. This WrestleMania in my head is okay, we're gonna step to the next generation with Obafemi. I think Trick's gonna be on the card. I think you have Javon Evans on the card, maybe in a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship. I might even have Javon win it, though I'm very enjoying this Penta match, Penta run, so maybe keep that going for a little longer, and then eventually have Javon Evans take it. Um, Trick, I think I already said Trick, but Trick's gonna be on the card. I think it'd be Trick versus Sammy. I'm very interested in that. And so, and then Oba versus Brock, and then the Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins match. I think these all line up. I'd probably have the new guys win every match except probably that Intercontinental again. Probably have Penta carry on a little longer, but I do want him to eventually drop it to Javon. Just maybe just not just yet. Just not just yet. And they might end up doing a dropping it to Dragon Lee and then doing Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans um, for that Intercontinental, something like that. I think that might be cool too. Um, and then Trick versus Sammy. Some people are talking about a double turn there. I don't know. I think Sammy as a heel will be interesting because it's not like he's playing the heel character he was during COVID. It's more of like a serious, more of this, and I think Trick is just so good at marketing. You see him everywhere. He's making videos all the time with celebrities. Like I saw him with yeah, like you saw him with Jamie Foxx recently. Jamie Foxx was holding the tag team championship and he's like, "It's on my bicep," you know. You see Trick, he did an NBA thing, you know. I think turning him face is a fine idea. You're seeing like many different things um, like he's a very good marketing. He's everywhere. You see him everywhere, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm very excited to see how this goes, how it transpires. So I think you're gonna see a lot of young people on this card, mainly those four. So I mean that's pretty exciting that they're trying to push this new wave up. They are clearly trying to tell you that. And I think it's a very good thing that they are doing that because everyone's old essentially in the main event scene. You know, they're not ancient by any means. Well, CM Punk's older, but yeah, I kind of wish during that Roman segment that CM Punk would have been like, "Why did old get me?" Well, you look around and you see everyone around me is kind of faded. Everyone around me is retiring, is doing that. Again, I probably wouldn't have hit him on an old line, but something along that line. But I thought him explaining it was fine. CM Punk is always good on the mic. Um, again, I thought it was a good Raw. I thought it was a great Raw. I thought the Raw overall was probably better than last week's, but I thought the start of last week's Raw was better than this week's start. But you know, whenever you do all this elaborate stuff to do that for Obafemi, and then the next week you just do him that, it makes sense, you know. But yeah, I thought it was a very good Raw, very good showing. Yeah, I had a good time watching it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to my Raw review for 3/23/2026.